Welcome back to Sledgehammer Horror, guys. I am Ken Sledge, and let's talk horror. Now, today I am so proud because I have two amazing guests with me here today. The creators, the host, the everything of That's the Fucking Trailer Show. I have Taurean and Durden. How you doing today, gentlemen?
Swell with a capital S.
I'm really glad that we're able to do this. I'm a big fan of That's the Fucking Trailer Show, and you guys can become big fans of them by clicking the links down here in the description. I have all their links, so make sure you're subscribing to the podcast, make sure you're subscribing to the YouTube channel, and also make sure you're following them on social media. But before you go and watch them, let's hear a little bit about what they do over there. Can you guys tell us a little bit about what you're doing over there?
Take it away, Dave.
I knew you were going to do that.
All right.
We what was it, like 2 years ago?
Yes, we had a phone conversation, a long one.
Yes. After many long phone conversations about films and doing films, we decided, let's try this YouTube thing out. There's all these kids out here that are literally paying their parents rent off their YouTube channel. We want to try that format of filmmaking instead of feature films like we have been doing,
while also destroying kids in the process.
But we didn't want to deviate too far away from what we love, which is films. So the natural result was to create a show where we just talked about the movies that we love.
But not just any show, bigger than a show, the metaverse, a world that people didn't know existed yet.
It did turn into more because we never could have thought that we would be talking not just about the films that we love, but to the people that made the films that we love. And when that door opened up, it became a lot more than just trying to make money on YouTube. Then it a life of its own formed out of it, where we just thoroughly enjoy doing it. And it's like a dream come true every time we get another guest and get to just pick their brain about the things that we grew up watching.
The beautiful part about it is that you have shows like Entertainment Tonight or all these other shows. So you have certain shows on YouTube that, of course, will talk about the films, and they're really good shows. Then you have Entertainment Tonight, which will usually talk to the A-list actors. But there is a gray area in between there that we feel that we knew that was out there, where we talk to cinematographers, we talk to the extras, we talk to the writers, we talk to people that normally most shows don't even know to talk to. And these are the people that when you go see the credits roll, these are people these are real careers in Hollywood. Families are being made from. So when we also have a segment called Film School, where we teach these young filmmakers to say, hey, listen, you don't need $1 million budget to make $1 million film. You just need $1 million heart and $1 million mind and $1 million work ethic. So
yeah, because the best way to appreciate movies is to know what goes into them. But before we say anything else, I want to shout out Lady Shasha and What Did I Just Watch for even hooking us up, and also thank you, Sledgehammer, for having us on. That's this is.
Yeah. I also would like to shout out Lady Shasha. I mean, thank you for even having us on. If it wasn't for her, we didn't even have this connection right now. So shout out to her.
Yeah.
See what I did?
She's so amazing.
Yeah, she is.
The minute that she hit me up, it was like, hey, you need to meet with these guys. That second, I was like, wow, this is going to happen, because if you're recommending them, I'm going to work with them. That's how much I trust Lady Shasha's integrity. So
our introduction to her was
rough.
When we finished I'm Going to Kill Someone This Friday, the last feature film we did. I looked up a bunch of people just like yourself on YouTube, people that I messaged everybody, and I just sent them a link, said, could you watch this, do a review on it, help us, give yourself some content. It was more to help us. There wasn't much to gain for them. She covered it. She was the one reviewer that had constructive criticisms that cut kind of deep, and they made me want to have further explanation.
I'm glad you said you.
They
didn't cut me deep until the end. I guess it did kind of. It got personal towards the end.
Yeah,
me.
Cut to when we're doing this show. We're doing a reunion episode about the movie we did, having all the cast on, and we decided let's have Lady Shasha on, like a guest for the review segment, so we could really like flesh out why she felt the way she did. We can explain ourselves and see if where it was a great conversation. It ended up, obviously, because we're here now,
we're cool now.
A cool relationship.
We're cool.
Yeah. Now
well, it's better to have that than somebody that's just like
worshiping you for no reason.
Love everything you're doing. Yeah.
I mean, part of it was funny because we got nothing but praise, and the one person that had something to say,
we just had to know why.
It's almost like Steve. I'm not comparing us to Steven Spielberg in any way, but it was almost like as if Steven Spielberg called up Siskel or Ebert. They're like, hey guys, I don't approve of the way you felt about my movie. I'd like to come in and talk to you
Well,
about it
well, we
personally and see if I could
respected her.
change your mind.
All jokes aside, we did respect her. We did respect her for the fact that she came to the call of challenge. She had valid points, and again, it came to artistic just differences, and that's always fine because you are right. You don't want everyone praising you because how do you get better? How do you abstract art? How do you?
And
know?
some of the best movies are the ones that are hated by half of the people that watch it.
I agree. I concur.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's TTFT.
And-
Sorry, we got off track.
No, that's fine. And the thing about that's amazing is it is very hard to find people that are willing to be that honest with you, because we live in a society now where if you think differently than me, I don't like you. And it's really upsetting and sad that politics has pushed us to, in our everyday lives, to be like, well, if you don't agree with me and everything I say and do, I don't like you. And I feel like that's really shitty, and it's a real shitty way to live your life. I love the fact that Lady Shasha had the guts and the integrity to come out and say, look, I liked it. This is what I didn't like. This is what you can do better. That's what we need. That's what we all need. And to have somebody to come to you like that, like, listen, I like it, but this is what I would change if I were you. This is what I would do a little bit differently. This is what I would tweak. That's constructive. It's not, oh my gosh, this is pure garbage, because I don't care what you're doing. If you're out there making art, I hope that somebody loves it. For anybody that's watching this, unless you made The Exorcist 2, fuck that movie. Besides
there we go.
Else,
here we go.
As long as you're making art, I hope that there are people out there that enjoy it and love it, even if it's not for me. So
District 51. All right. Let's keep in mind. Let's keep it going.
Watch their film now. It is on YouTube, and I have that link in the description as well. So
and please be honest, be brutally honest. I'm in it. My daughter's in it. His daughter's in it. Maybe that's why we took it so personal.
Bring us some constructive criticism. Let us know what you love about it, what you dislike about it, but make sure you're checking it out, because
and just know
if
you say something negative about it, we will be reaching out personally for a conversation.
So if you ever want to hang out with the guys, that's all you got to do. No, I'm just kidding. So I do, guys. It's amazing to learn about That's the Fucking Trailer and how that got started, and the fact that you guys are also filmmakers that take appreciation in that, because I absolutely love and respect that, because I'm not trying to toot my own horn here or anything, but with Sledgehammer Horror, that's something I pride myself on. I don't go looking for who can I have on my show that's going to gain me the most subs or who's going to get me the most views. I want to learn how horror started for people. And I don't care if you're holding a gaff. I don't care if you're doing a podcast. I don't care if you're the star in 10 films in a row. I just want to learn how horror started for you. Growing up in a video store, I was so blessed to be able to have horror movies at my disposal whenever I wanted. And I'd love to learn how that started for people. So let's jump over to that now. Let's go. You can't have a movie podcast that talks about horror movies if you don't ever watch a horror movie. So let's go back to the past here for a second, guys. And let's talk about the first horror movies that you watched. Taurean, let's start with you. Your first horror movie was?
Child's Play. But they might as well call it Man's Play, because even as a man, I still wake up in cold sweat sometimes.
And we are talking about the OG 1988, correct?
I don't even make my bed up in the morning. We don't do remakes over here. No, we're talking about the original.
You don't even make your bed.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. And Durden, your first horror movie was?
Nightmare on Elm Street. Saw it in probably 1989 or 1990. I was definitely too young, but I had really cool cousins and grandparents that did not watch us very closely. So here I am.
Why does that sound like the promo for the R. Kelly documentary?
It could be. and it both ended up with somebody that likes to diddle kids.
Right.
Yeah.
After watching Nightmare on Elm Street the first time, it also, ended with somebody getting pissed on when you pissed on yourself. So I totally get that part too.
Boom.
Yeah.
So, Durden, I'm going to stick with you here for a second. Which scene would you say it was from Nightmare on Elm Street that affected you the most?
Easily the Tina scene when she's getting drug up the wall all around the room. I had no idea how that was done yet at the time. I just kind of took it for what it was, and it was just so surreal and literally nightmarish. Like it's still something that I could see so vividly even right now. It just kind of burned into me, the blood and the tits, to be honest. I mean, it was one of the first pair of tits that I saw. The actual first pair of tits was Howard the duck boobies in the bathtub.
He He's
Those were
flying
my
through the
first,
walls.
unfortunately, but Tina's were much nicer looking for the brief moment. And yeah, it scarred me, and it sent blood to all the right places at the same time.
Fucking shock jock.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you ended up seeing this, because it would have been really awkward if the first time you saw a real life pair of boobs, the only ones you could base them off of was from Howard the Duck, and you were like, "Where'd your feathers go?" This is quite
Yeah.
awkward for me.
Well, now I'm just like, why aren't you all bloody?
Right.
Oh,
Right.
no, not right. Don't aid him on over here. And like, no.
I must be doing something wrong.
I can't get
but you were
off
talking
unless
about,
you're bloody.
Oh man, this took a turn. But no, you were talking about how the practical effects of this movie. We often forget that Nightmare on Elm Street was a very low budget film. Like the
Yeah.
practical effects are great in it. I mean, Freddy Krueger has 7 minutes worth of screen time in the film. Like that's how much
He's
they
Jaws.
didn't have any money, because they didn't have enough money to keep doing the makeup to look exactly the same. So he's always in shadow or a voice or somebody else. It's just, that's the big thing.
I'm
about
glad
that
you
movie
bring that
make
up,
it so
because
amazing.
I'm glad you bring that up, because me and him often discuss that a certain art form is lost when you don't have enough practical effects. Because see, when you do CGI, the hardest thing in the world to do is either have an actor look at a green ball or try to react to something that's not there. Back in those days, like you said, with not a big budget, not a lot of time, now they got to react to explosions or fires or things like that. The actors are involved in the effect. It is a dance between the actor and the elements. But now with the CGI, there's no dance going on.
And in Nightmare on Elm Street, that was like what you said, how they couldn't keep the makeup consistent. That's the genius of Wes Craven, to take something like that would be a disadvantage for a lesser filmmaker and turn it into one of the elements about the first Nightmare on Elm Street, about that Freddy Krueger, that made him so terrifying on this like deeper level, because he was like this demon that would take slightly different forms every time you saw him. And there was just something off about that. Like you could never recognize him.
He's going deeper and deeper into the dream, just like when you go deeper into levels of dream, like Inception.
Yeah.
He gets deeper. He's falling apart, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
And I still say to this day that A Nightmare on Elm Street is the best horror movie ever made. I think if you take out the last 5 minutes with that stupid fucking Freddy car and the dumb blow up doll mom getting sucked through the window, it's the perfect movie. Now I think genuinely, I think it's the perfect movie if you take those parts out. But I want to bounce back to, I went from what I think is the best horror movie. Now I'm going to talk about my favorite horror franchise here for a second, Child's Play. Now, Taurean, what would you say your favorite scene from the original Child's Play is?
Well, I can't really call it a favorite, because again, I was a child at the time, and if you want to say what frightened me the most, what fucked me up, was still, you know how they say things mold you, like you're in fucking Ghost and fucking Swayze and more, and they're molding. This is what molded me as a child. It was the scene when they went Exorcist / bitch lights out, when Chucky turns his head around and then there's no batteries in the back. I had been frightened before in my life. I had been scared. I had never been fucking removed from my body and looked at it, and both of us were frightened. The astral form and the regular form of me as a child were frightened, and I was just like, this shit ain't right. Like, it's almost like electric chair, but with no electricity. And that's when I knew not only did I want to be a filmmaker, that I was also like, oh, this shit ain't for me. Just get out this, like, no more watching movies at nighttime. I'm never pissed on myself, but whatever. But so my point is that's
so have
what
you ever really watched a movie then?
Oh no, I've watched it several times. I mean, I've had to.
Well,
but
no, if you've never pissed on yourself, have you?
Oh, have you ever?
It,
no, you haven't. No, you haven't. I'll be honest with you, since we're talking about it right now.
Sure,
truth
you told
moment.
me when you
The
saw
last time I've
Hereditary.
really been scared, it was like that werewolf movie, like 12 years ago. I can't remember who was in it, but it was a werewolf movie from 12 years ago. He was in London. They're not werewolf in London, but anyway. The point being is we're on Child's Play, but no, that did it for me, because you got to understand, there's a doll, okay, that's called a good guy. So they're already fucking with you mentally. As a child, you're like, oh, it's a good guy. Oh, there are no fucking batteries. What's charging this bitch? It's some satanic, demonic. So it's a demon going on. There's a demon doll. There's a serial killer in the doll, and there are no batteries.
So you must have been terrified by batteries not included.
Dude, that's what's fucking with me. Still to this day. Yes. So yeah, that's the one.
Well, and what I love about that is right after that, because you still haven't seen at this point the doll actually take shape yet. Like, you've heard Andy talking to him, you've seen Andy walking with him. But right after this, you know, the mom takes him and she's like,
I said talk to me, damn it, or else I'm gonna throw you in the fire!
You stupid bitch! You filthy slut! Did you fuck with me?
and you actually see his face come to life. And like that to me was my oh shit moment. You know, like that part right there was just, I'm done. What the fuck?
I'm probably going to get killed for this because nobody really wants to talk about it. I'm going to go ahead and talk about it right now. You know who the sick fuck in that movie was? Andy. Okay, I understand who the killer.
Hold on, this is a thing with him. He somehow always has a problem with the kid. Even in Joker, when Joaquin Phoenix puts his fingers in the kid's mouth, he blames that moment on the child.
If you are a child over 2 years old and you let a grown man put his opposable thumbs in your mouth and rub them over your bipolars, trimolars, and all whatever's in your fucking mouth, if he rubs his thumb around it, you are a disturbed child. Now I'm off of that. Now back to Andy. I had to take my glasses off. You know how serious I get about people putting thumbs in people's mouths. Now Andy is carrying around. First off, he has a doll. I mean, excuse me. Oh, let me not get canceled. Oh, Andy has a doll.
I had a my buddy.
Right, but see, don't even get me started on that. But I'm saying he's carrying. At what point did he not know the doll was fucked up? Is what I'm saying. He knew early. We knew. He knew that doll was fucked up. He wanted something to happen. Andy was on that shit.
You're always with his ridiculous
the fact that you always blame the kids and want the kids to be punished for it. What that says to me is you're a parent. Because when people are like, how can you wish bad things to happen to kids? I'm like, take mine for 2 days. You'll watch every movie hoping it ends like Pet Sematary. I promise.
I bet you $1,000. What's the one kid in film I hate more than anything in the world?
The Strain.
Yes.
Yeah, that kid fucked everything.
He was the same kid from Jurassic World, the kid from The Strain. Because the show was almost over. They had the fucking Strigoi trapped in the coffin, and he lets go a nuke go. What the fuck?
But going back to Wes Anderson in People Under the Stairs, you blame the kid for everything because he chose to go back to the house after he escaped.
No black kid would ever do that in their life.
That's true.
Just being honest with you, brother. I don't like to pull the race card off, and I'm just letting you know.
I'm glad that you guys say that because The People Under the Stairs is Ashley's favorite horror movie. Like we watch that movie once every couple of months. And you know, Jordan Peele just got rights to it. He's producing a remake to it, and I'm very excited to see.
I hope he changes the ending.
Well, I'm cautiously optimistic because I can't see anybody replacing dad or brother, whatever you want to call him. He's
daddy,
shit
mommy and daddy,
man.
Yeah. We covered that movie last Halloween, I think it was.
Yeah,
and
so we got the kid. We got Quentin Alexander
and Jan Burke.
We got both of them. Yes.
No, that's another one like Nightmare on Elm Street. I hate that ending more than the Nightmare on Elm Street. That when the money is raining from the sky and the hip hop music starts playing, I was like, oh man, you had me in a certain space for this whole movie. And
Can I ask you a question? Did you ever have a glove?
Oh yeah, multiple times. I sent him a picture of me with a glove. And walking around elementary, you can't do this now in elementary school with the Freddy glove. Dressed up,
but you can wear whole cans.
Yeah.
Oh, man,
I'm sorry. We're sorry for taking you off your questions, man. I'm sorry, man. We're sorry.
No, man, this is what this is about. That's why I love this, because it's about your life. You know, your first horror movie, what got you started in horror. You can't just stick to a formula when you're talking about your life, because you're talking about your likes, your dislikes, and that's what I love about it. Durden, I'm going to bounce back to you real quick here for a second. We talked about being in a Nightmare on Elm Street. There's not very many kills throughout this movie. There's only 4 real kills throughout the whole film, and they are few and far between, but every single one of them is beautifully shot, super effective. We talked about Tina a little bit. So besides Tina, which death would you say affected you the most?
It's gotta be Johnny Depp with the bloodbath waterbed. The creepiest part that to me was the when he pulls the covers down and he sees, it's always the tits for me. I'm realizing all of my scenes have tits in them. When the girl's underneath the bed, I mean, the blood was awesome looking, because it kind of reminded me of Evil Dead. But that scene, it was like, that's supposed to be your safe space. Like that's literally where you're probably at when you're watching the movie. And for something like that to come like so unexpectedly out of nowhere, that was just again, it's the genius of Wes Craven, because with Nightmare on Elm Street, he created like the perfect playground for a horror film to exist in, because you could do all the crazy supernatural shit, but it's still grounded in reality because it's all happening in this nightmare landscape. And that moment in particular was like, it was crazy because it's like all you have to do is stay awake. But you saw in that moment, like you, even when you're trying, you're like, they did that so well where you're trying to stay awake and you just can't, and you doze off, and then immediately you're in that space where you're not safe. And that was his mom running in and seeing her, the way her emotional reaction made it so real and authentic. It was done so effectively.
And who would have known? This was 1984. We're in 2022 now. Who would have known that would have ended up being the second worst thing to ever happen to Johnny Depp in a bed?
Yeah.
Who
Wow.
could have guessed that?
That's
That
a
is-
connection. That's a fucking connection. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah.
My wife wrote that joke. I can't even take credit for that. Ashley wrote that joke.
That's
so-
fantastic.
Aquaman. Aquaman.
How have I not seen that anywhere on the internet yet? That's wild. That's a good one.
Well,
Burn.
I'm just saying, if you watch the newest Sledgehammer horror episode of Versus, which is taking on 1984 Elm Street versus 2010 Elm Street, you can check that out. Ashley wrote that joke for that episode, so you can check that out.
Check it out.
So I want to bounce back to you real quick, Taurean. We're talking about you watched Child's Play for the first time, and Child's Play obviously is part of a bigger franchise. I know you're not too much into remakes, but we haven't really talked about sequels yet. Which movie in the Child's Play franchise is your favorite of the bunch?
Of course, number one, but if you're asking me after number one, because it's not even close. I mean, clearly there's one by a mile and a long shot. But if you ask me which one after that, for some reason that I resonated with the most, it was that military one for some reason. So some people call it cheesy, but
That's my favorite one.
There was something about
him,
like at this point you're used to the doll.
That
You know what the doll's
that
about.
ends up in like the fair, right?
Huh?
That ends up in the fair.
I don't know if
it
does end up
They
in
end
the
up
fair.
in
But
Carnival.
when
that's a good
Chucky
one.
replaces, or Charles, whatever you want to call him, replaces the bullets, the fake bullets for the real bullets, I'm like, fuck yeah, because now he's getting more maniacal with it. It's like the doll is fusing with the human. It's like the longer he's in the incantation. But yeah, that's my one, man. That would be the one.
That's
Dude,
probably the one.
That's my favorite one in
closest
the
to
whole
original.
franchise.
Tell me, can you tell me why?
Well, everything. It's the one I watched the most as a kid. The kills are absolutely phenomenal. Like you said, the bullets. You have the best one-liners. When he cuts the barber's throat, presto, you're dead. Or don't fuck with the Chuck. Or when he's at the computer looking for Andy, he's like, "Where are you, you little shit?" There's just so much about this movie that I just absolutely adore. Seeing him at that carnival when you got that big Grim Reaper and it brings a scythe down and cuts off part of his face. Then he ends up falling into the fan and exploding into, like, I could talk about Child's Play 3 all day. Like I said, that's my favorite horror franchise, and that is my favorite film of the franchise. Growing up, I watched that movie probably once to twice a week, and like I had a huge crush on De Silva. I thought she was like the hottest chick in the whole world. Like, if I got beat up, I could be like, "I'm gonna go get my girlfriend, and she's gonna take care of you." Like that was my mindset as a kid. Like, so yeah, Child's Play 3 to me is super epic, super amazing, and Durden, I want to bounce back to you real quick. Nightmare on Elm Street did have a remake in 2010. Would you like, it's been, 12 years now since that happened. Would you like to see them try to remake this again in the vein of them doing the Halloweens and Chucky, the TV series? Would you like to see them try to do another Nightmare remake, or would you like to try to see them reboot the franchise in a whole new direction?
I think it would be a really cool series. Like I used to read the Freddy's Nightmares books, and I think something like that would play really well, where you can build on the lore of Freddy like a slow burn over the course of a few seasons, and you could switch out the kids are interchangeable if you want. We've already established that with the movies, or you can get a core group and capitalize on like the Stranger Things hype. I think there's potential there, and I feel like after the 2010 one, people are so, for some reason, just they felt they just were angry about that one. I think they would have a better chance trying a different format where it's like, all right, there hasn't been a series yet, so it's not so blasphemous, I guess.
Well, I think the reason that the 2010 one failed, and this is just my opinion, Jason has always been Jason, except for Roy Burns, but it's always been Jason under that mask. Michael's always been Michael, and Freddy was always Robert Englund.
Yeah.
And then you take this movie and you take another actor and you put him in that room, you darken him up like they did. People went into that looking for Robert Englund's Freddy Krueger, and that's not who this is. You know, this is a scary, demented, and people were mad, like, oh, I didn't like Freddy. You're not supposed to. He kills kids. Like, you're not supposed to like that guy. He's not supposed to be your rooting point, but that's what we get in these franchises. The one constant, besides Scream, obviously you have your final girl that makes it all the way through, but the one constant in these is always the villain. You always have your Jason, you always have your Michael, you always have your Freddy, your Chucky, your Leprechaun. So when they change that up so much, people just get a real bad taste in their mouth because the villain that they love is gone. The child killer they loved is gone and been replaced with a new child killer, and he's just too much. So
that's what I loved about it. Yeah, I totally get why people felt that way. They had this allegiance to Robert Englund. He essentially is he's arguably more Nightmare on Elm Street than Wes Craven even is. But I just thought it was so brave to go that route with it that you have to respect it, whether it fell on its face or not. And I don't think it did. I think the only reason why it fell on its face to people's perspective is because they were comparing it to something, and you shouldn't have done that. I think it was so cool that he did that. And especially in the age of, like, around that time, it was when, like, the anti-hero was really becoming a thing with, like, I don't know if it was Breaking Bad yet, or at least The Sopranos, where the bad guy was the person you were rooting for. So Nightmare on Elm Street, who did this originally, made people love the bad guy. Around the time when society was catching up with, like, what was on television, they flipped the script again and said, no, you're supposed to actually hate Freddy, and we're going to lean into every single reason why he is despicable, like irredeemable.
And I gotta admit, the first time I seen it, I hated it because I went into it looking for my Freddy. But then upon rewatches, I really grew like you did. You know, like, man, I'm supposed to hate this guy.
All they had to
what
do,
they were supposed to do.
All they had to do, they shouldn't have called it Nightmare on Elm Street. They should have been like, Elm and McHurst.
No, but
you know what I'm saying? It's the same, but it's not.
Great.
You know what I'm saying? It's like Elm Street, but I'm not saying change. We know what it is, but just don't call it that. So now when I see this different Freddy,
I mean, they had to, because it was truly a remake of the first one. They just expanded on all the things that the first one didn't. Like, it was truly a Nightmare on Elm Street, just through a different lens.
They shouldn't have called it Nightmare on Elm Street.
And that was my biggest problem with Child's Play 2019. They should have called Child's Play 2019 Buddy Doll from the world of Child's Play. And I think the movie would have been so much more well received if you actually took that buddy and you named him something different. You put it in the vein of Child's Play, because even if that movie was super successful, that studio didn't own the rights to the name Child's Play 2.
Right.
But if you would have named it Buddy Doll from the world of Child's Play, you could have made a sequel with that bear, Buddy Bear from the world of Child's Play. You know, you could have continued the story in so many different ways. And man, if you're watching, guys, just hire me. I'll help you out.
I thought the Child's Play remake was a great modernization, like, for the way they I thought that the way that was terrifying. Yeah.
I say this on almost every episode of the podcast, and eventually this is going to happen, because we know that Friday the 13th has been in developmental hell. What's going to end up happening is eventually I'm just going to buy the rights to it. I'm going to remake the original OG Friday the 13th, and I'm going to have Kathy Bates play Mrs. Voorhees, and she's going to completely dominate and crush it. It's going to be the best movie ever made.
Now, speaking of that, who has the balls to try to remake Misery and do it the right fucking way?
The right way. It wasn't done the right way.
Oh, no, it was done the right way. I'm saying, if you're going to do it, like, who has the balls to try to, like, hey, ARF, pal, ARF.
Yeah.
There we go.
There's no need. I mean, I guess you could say about everything that's going,
right. I love Kathy Bates. I think that she could play any role amazingly.
There's nothing she can't. Fucking, she could still be alive. Shit. She's still my #1 fan.
Oh man, rest in peace.
Well, she's already played.
Gotcha.
Yeah, you know,
I finally gotcha.
Yeah.
Sorry, too soon.
Well, you got to think about it.
Speaking of
Kathy Bates has already played a crazy ass mom, you know, in The Waterboy, and she nailed that shit. So she could play Mrs. Voorhees perfectly.
Yeah.
So Taurean, you're gonna get to cheat here for a second.
Wouldn't be the first
I've been
time.
trying to spread the questions out a little bit, but now you guys are going to get asked the same question. And obviously I got to ask one of you first, and Durden, you're going to go first on this one. We talked about your guys' first horror movies, what they meant to you, how they affected you. But now my little buddy Ghostface here has a question for you. What's your favorite scary movie, Durden? What is your favorite horror movie of all time?
Oh man, of all time, shit. I was not prepared for that, and that's a tough one because it changes. Like right now, I would have to
Are you talking to me
say
or you?
I'm talking.
I'm talking to you, but you're looking at me.
Yeah, I don't. I'm looking for an
Stop!
answer
Stop
in
being
your eyes.
weird.
I think the one that affected me most, that's really, it's probably Midsommar, that one. That just kind of blew my mind. A whole horror film taking place in daylight, the visuals of it, the emotional performances, just the offness of it in general, the absurdity of making horror out of these things that had to have not even read on the page is scary. It's just it was just it was like a reinvention of the genre, is the closest that I've come to seeing it in a long time. They're like, wow, I have no idea what to expect here. And that's truly on the edge of your seat.
Me up, man.
Oh my God. Yeah. Out of nowhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a great, right now. Yeah. Cause that hits all the, I mean, it's perfect quality filmmaking, the writing, the acting. I mean, it's such a well-made movie, and it just so happens to be really fucking disturbing.
Yeah. So we know Midsommar. What about you, Taurean? What's your favorite scary movie? What are you going with on this one?
Favorite scary movie. Okay, I missed it. Okay.
Hereditary.
No, fuck no. Just don't get me started on that, please.
I told him he should watch Hereditary, and he called me up and he said, fuck you.
Yeah. No, we're not doing that. Favorite scary movie, man. Like, you got some classics out there, but if you want to just talk about just somebody just.
Is Beetlejuice a horror film?
Beetlejuice. I'm going Beetlejuice, and most people might not consider that scary, but fuck that. When that I was dancing all through the movie as soon as that fucking banister turned into a snake. Oh shit!
I mean,
so yeah.
We're talking about a guy that was scared of something because this thing's working without batteries.
Yeah, but I mean, okay, but no, I would say Beetlejuice, and I'll say why. First off, I'm super pissed they're doing a remake or whatever they're doing with that shit now.
It's a musical.
But no, I'll say why. I mean, because again, I'm all about lore. And if I feel like there's a story and things that I can read into, and every time you watch something, it has something more. And then as I've gotten older and learned more about film, you get to go back and see Gina Davis and Winona Ryder and from Alec Baldwin. And so I'm going back. I'll get there. I'll get there, pal. Watch yourself. The mom from Home Alone.
Yes.
Yeah. And they
Catherine O'Hara.
They got me doing, don't get me wrong. I almost lost my black card at 9 because I'm in the living. I'm doing the dances. I'm 6 foot, 7 foot, 8 foot plunge. My cousin's like, what the fuck you doing?
You're saying Beetlejuice.
You're right. But point being is like, I just when you find out that you love movies, so it's not the scariest, but it was the first time where something combine the genres for me. It was scary, but it could be funny, and it had lore, and there was a story to it. And when they ended, fucking ends with a fucking musical. Not only that, who can't use a little head? Michael Keaton's head shrinks all the way fucking down because he tries to take, it was so fucking clever. I'm like, now that's a fucking movie. So Beetlejuice.
Yeah. Dude, and I'm one of those people that horror is what you make it. I've defended Ghostbusters as a horror movie.
Hold on. Which Ghostbusters is your favorite?
Which one is I'm gonna get killed for that? You don't want to know.
I want to know.
I think he
does.
Whoa.
You might get killed. Hold on.
No. If he's gonna get killed by it, you have the unpopular opinion.
I know, but he might be saying something. We both might be like, huh? So which one's your favorite?
Oh, 2016.
Oh, there it is. Fuck. Hey, no, yes. Fucking number 2.
Yeah.
Lord Vigo. Fuck yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Hello.
Dude, I'm telling you, the part when Janosch comes on the bike and grabs the kid off the balcony, that scared the shit out of me as a kid, man. Like, that scared me so bad when I was a kid.
It's Lord Vigo. No, I am Ray. I am Vigo. Get him, Ray. Come on, man. Are you kidding me?
I love Jesus. And Janosch himself, like the part when he goes to see him again, he's like, I, Vigo, Scourge of Carpathia. And he's like, yes, I know. You've told me this. I know all of this. Yes. That to me is.
I get to have the woman. The fucking baby going down that was the second most terrifying baby scene ever. When the baby stroller's rolling down the thing until Speed came on. Cans. It was just cans.
Yeah, dude. So
There we
I
go.
do love Ghost, but and there's a lot of movies I defend as horror movies that don't get the Wizard of Oz. I think that's totally a horror flick. Like
That's
that shit
terrifying.
is scary as
Before or
hell.
after
So,
Dementia hanged itself? Which one?
The whole feel of that movie
the
puts
whole
you in a
movie.
weird place.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good point.
So I do want to again say thank you to you guys for coming on. But before I let you go, what we're going to do real quick is go back to your first horror movies. And what we're going to do is rank these on a skull count. Now, we're not ranking these by acting, production, score, direction, nothing like that. What we're doing here is strictly ranking these movies on how much they affected you on first viewing. So 0 skulls being not effective, 5 being extremely effective. Let's start with you this time, Taurean. What would you rank Child's Play?
5. Did you not hear me 17 minutes ago when I say I still wake up in cold sweat certain nights? You never know. If I see something without batteries in it, I'm fucking losing it.
Right.
Yeah, I gotta.
That's a perfect ranking.
Thank you, sir.
What about you, Durden?
I gotta give it a 5 too. I mean, it was so many firsts for me, and Freddy Krueger, and it began a long and healthy relationship with Freddy Krueger. And I've had one reoccurring nightmare my entire life, and it's Freddy Krueger just lurking outside of my house, waiting, trying to get inside and murder my family. He's the only, and I still love him, even though he terrifies me. He's such an awesome guy. And even though my mom is a diehard Christian, she still gets me little gifts like this whenever she sees them anywhere.
That's dope. Well, I mean, and the thing is, like, I had a buddy growing up that would not sleep with sheets on his bed. That's how much Nightmare on Elm Street affected him. The part with Jesus Garcia with Rod, when the sheets wrap around his neck and hang him in the prison, he refused to sleep with sheets on his bed.
Dude, that's
for
the
years
fucked up
after
thing
that.
about Nightmare on Elm Street is that nobody can protect you from this thing that it's making you afraid of. Everybody has to go to sleep and be alone at some point.
Exactly.
Mommy and
how hard you
daddy
fight it.
can't help you.
Oh, good Lord.
Daddy.
He's a weird guy.
So I do want to remind you guys, we're at the end of the third act. The credits are about to roll, but there are some links down here in the description that do need your love and attention. So make sure you're following these guys on social media. Subscribe to the podcast on all platforms. That way you can be a part of it. Don't go anywhere, gentlemen. I got a couple more questions for you. Everybody else, as always, keep talking horror, stay what you are, and we'll see you guys soon.